Well, the bad news is that XRP's been going down against the dollar. But the good news is that XRP has been gaining against Bitcoin. And I think that we're starting to see the prelude of the great decoupling we've been talking about for quite some time. Now, it's still early. XRP since October 10th has steadily been gaining against Bitcoin, though. And we're going to be breaking that down here in today's update. Now, this is on top of the very strong fundamentals, all of the catalysts lined up, and the institutional inflows that are starting to pour in. So without further ado, we're going to get right on into the update. Hope you guys are enjoying this Friday, November 21st, 2025 update. Bitwise coming in with 21 million, almost 22 million of US dollar volume for today. Canary Capital just under 13 million, bringing our total for today to $34,766,000 for the two ETFs. And we did get notice, folks, that we're going to be going live next week with Franklin Templeton and Grayscale. So a huge shout out here to James Rule XRP for finding those sign-offs from the New York Stock Exchange. Both filings here for Franklin Templeton and Grayscale. Absolutely love to see it. Now, what's really interesting here is we're starting to watch how much XRP is getting parked in these ETFs. Yes, the daily volume is nice to track. We set the day one volume record for any ETF in 2025 with Canary Capital. The Bitwise launch wasn't as strong. XRP was a little bit lower, and obviously it's having to compete against Canary as well. That was the first mover advantage that Canary Capital took advantage of, amassing 58 million in volume day one. But what got us so excited was not, the volume's cool. It puts all of Wall Street on notice, like, wow, it was an XRP ETF that just set the day one volume record for 900 different ETFs that went live this year. It puts Wall Street on notice. But where we really are starting to get excited here is how much XRP is being locked up to back up these ETFs. So I'm going to show you here. Take a look at this. We're looking at the holdings behind the Canary Capital ETF. And in fact, I'm gonna refresh this real quick because the day has ended. And I'm going to see if they've updated that. It looks like it's still the same. Okay, let's go back here. So this is the Canary, and they are at 138 million XRP behind this ETF. Now I'm going to slide on over here to the Bitwise, and you're going to see that they have 53 million. And this was as of yesterday for both Bitwise and Canary. So we'll see how much XRP they add. These ETFs, they're on T+1 settlement. So after the day's trading is done, then they go to the OTC market to go acquire more XRP to back their ETF. Okay, so far it's been nothing but inflows coming into both ETFs. Only a couple days live for Bitwise, but a week now for Canary Capital, and it's been nothing but steady inflows, XRP backing these ETFs, and that's reducing XRP that can be used for cross-border payments and other utility. Other pools of liquidity that we would want XRP for, or maybe Ripple would want XRP for, they can't get the XRP that's parked in the ETFs, that's parked in DeFi, that Joe Blow over here has parked in his backyard. They can't get my XRP, and they're not going to get your XRP, because we got some crazy people in the XRP family that are probably never going to sell their XRP if we don't have to, right? Now, speaking of never having to sell, we're looking at yield. And so right now I'm amassing, and I'm looking for more feedback on folks that have invested in some of these protocols, whether that be DeFi, centralized exchanges, some of these platforms calling themselves CDeFi, everything in between. I'm looking to aggregate all of the data. How much money are you making? How often are the distributions being made? And I'm looking for the percentage that you've been making. You don't have to, I'm not looking for people to disclose how much they have invested in these funds. I would just like if people could say, hey, we're making 3% per month. A lot of people have been telling me from Doppler that they're making 3 to 4% on a weekly basis. It's getting paid out every single week with distributions. Got a lot of good feedback on Nexo. A lot of people saying that obviously Nexo was servicing the United States. Now they're no longer doing so. But for those who can still tap into Nexo, sounds like they're doing pretty good. And then there's a few other platforms that I hadn't originally mentioned in my first post. And so I've added those platforms like Strobe Finance, the Proton Bros. I wanted to make sure that we included them. I know they get upset with me. I did a video 3 days ago on the Amplify 3% monthly premium income XRP ETF. So that's an ETF product that's looking to provide 3% per month 36% on an annualized basis. That could get interesting as well. And then Lantern Finance as well, I added that. But I'm still looking for feedback on Axelar, anybody using Aave, Strobe Finance, and Lone Proton. Some people mentioned those, but they didn't mention how much they're making and how often the distributions are being made. So if we could get that feedback, that'd be great. Transitioning to the centralized platforms, is anybody using Binance? I know when I typed it into Grok, hey, where can I get XRP yield? They do list Binance, but I really don't know what's going on over there. So any feedback over there would be great. Digital Wealth Partners, I'm kind of surprised that I haven't heard back from anybody on this one yet. I don't know. Maybe Jake has all you guys signing NDAs over there and it's all hush hush and secret what's going on over there. I don't know. But I'm hoping to be able to report on Digital Wealth Partners and what they've been doing over there. Kraken, KuCoin, Bybit, Bitrue, and BitGet are some of the other centralized exchanges that apparently are offering yield. Some people said that Kraken's not. I don't know. I'm just trying to get feedback so I can put all this together, and I'm going to do a video this weekend to break it down. Where we'll go through the DeFi platforms, we'll go through the CDeFi, whatever the heck that means, and then we'll go through the centralized platforms as well to see what is available right now. And when I was at Ripple Swell Conference, I had the chance to interview the CEO of iTrust Capital, our sponsor, Kevin Maloney, and he said that they are exploring ways to get yield on our XRP. We're just kind of in the early innings of it. And that's what a lot of people are reporting, Uphold and other platforms, even Caleb and Brown too. But I want to let everybody know that our sponsor, iTrust Capital, is looking at ways to generate yield for XRP holders. They already have done so for Bitcoin. I think that you do have to be accredited for their Bitcoin product. And then they also are allowing folks to stake their Ethereum and Solana over there at iTrust Capital as well. So we have them linked up down below. No more promo code, just use my link and you'll be able to claim your $100 funding bonus for your iTrust Capital IRA or the premium custody account. Absolutely love this company, and we wanted to get them tapped in so folks knew that they could roll over their 401k retirement accounts to a crypto IRA today and get it done. 15 billion in transactions, 200,000 plus accounts, 11,000 reviews. So I encourage you guys to go check them out. We got them plugged in down below. Really appreciate them as a sponsor to the show. But let's get into it, folks. So XRP has now completed a 30% sell the news pullback after our ETFs went live. Of course, this was mostly fueled by the broader market sell-off, but it is important to note that we were prepared for this moment. We shared the expectations, and I hope that you took advantage of it. And so we see XRP went all the way down to like 181 today. At least that's what I'm seeing on Coinbase and Binance. Let me know how low you saw it go today. How low can you go? Well, we're finding out how low we're going to go, aren't we? And we talked about how a 20% pullback was going to take us back to that $2.07 level that we hit on the Ripple Swell Conference day one. And then, so that obviously came through earlier this week. And then we watched it finish out here this morning down to $2.81. And so it looks like we're very close to the bottom. Not going to try to call the bottom, not going to try to time the bottom. I've just been setting my orders, let the orders fill. We're not going to be liquidated. We're not going to capitulate and sell. We're just going to continue to stack these good assets that are far below their fundamental value. That's been my strategy. And what I wanted to point out to everybody here today, as I titled the episode, is that XRP has actually been gaining against Bitcoin since the liquidation event on 10/10. Why is this so important? Because we got a reset. See, October 10th in that liquidation event, which was the largest liquidation event by a factor of 9x, the crypto space has never gone through something like that before. What it did is it cleared the table, clean slate. And I've been saying that this is a healthy purge that's taking place right now. You know, sell the news on the XRP ETF. People want to say, oh, this isn't sell the news. This is the broader market. Well, sure. You know, either way you spin it, whoever you want to blame, we were saying that we were expecting a pullback at this time. And so that's what's important, is that we had capital ready to buy the dip. Now, you know, once again, going back to October 10th, this liquidation event leveled the playing field, right? As far as leverage goes, it cleared it out. And we're still seeing, and we believe at this moment now, that the reason why the markets continue to bleed out is because there's some big players, market makers, etc., that have basically been wiped out and have upside down positions, and they've been forced to sell off large amounts of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this would explain why XRP has actually been gaining against Bitcoin since October 10th. So this is XRP versus Bitcoin since 10/10 right here. And I put out the tweet. Let me show you the full chart right here, though. On October 10th, obviously, XRP didn't do so well against Bitcoin. But ever since then, ever since we cleared the floor here, XRP has been gaining pretty steady against Bitcoin. In fact, from this low right here, you're already seeing a swing of 20% against Bitcoin. Where we stand right now, we're only at about 11%. But still, right, we have been steadily moving up and to the right against Bitcoin in this liquidation event, which did take it for a brief moment. Look at how low this went. That's crazy. I wouldn't even include this wick, though, because that was a coordinated cascading liquidation event that really wasn't even real once XRP got below $2. But anyways, I'm just measuring from this low that we established right here, and you can see that XRP has been steadily gaining against Bitcoin ever since then. Sliding on over here, I'm watching, and there's a nice similarity here. You could overlay this chart, the XRP dominance chart. And this thing went all the way back up to 4.3%. Still a very, very long ways to go from where this has been at previously. We saw it went up to 5.5% during this moment. And then I think if you zoom all the way out, I forget how far back you have to go. Yeah, back to 2020, you got up to 6%. And then even before that, it looks like back here in 2018, how high did this eventually? This went crazy in 2018, all the way up to 31%. That's right. So I mean, I'm zooming in on our current levels that we're at right now, and obviously, it doesn't seem like much, but it does show us here that XRP has been steadily gaining against the broader market and against Bitcoin since that 10/10 liquidation event that cleared us out. So nice strength right there. And then at the same time, we're watching Bitcoin dominance spiked up to 63.5% during the 10/10 liquidation event, spiked up here on November 4th, first day of swell, up to 61%, but then has been moving back down here. And this is part of a broader downtrend on Bitcoin dominance. And so what's interesting too is that Bitcoin dominance was up here at 66% in June. Well, later, 1 month later in July, right, this thing had came down substantially, and that's when XRP hit $3.66. So we're watching Bitcoin dominance had a little bit of a bump there on the 10/10 liquidation event, but we're watching for this thing to actually extend much lower down to about 50%. And that would bring in the alt season that we've been waiting for, not just for XRP, but for the broader alt space as well. But I wanted to provide this context for everybody today, not because I want to be a cheerleader for XRP, rah, pump you up, deliver some hopium today so I can get my clicks for YouTube. It's a matter of just having a good perspective, being able to sit back. If you can't stomach the markets and what you're seeing, go outside, go take the family out. And that's what I'm about to do after we check out of the office here today, is go spend the weekend with the family, go touch some grass and step away from the charts if that's what it takes. We live in this every single day, and we just sit here and we can do so every single day because we have such a great understanding of the fundamentals, and that none of that's changed. In fact, as I've been saying, this purge is healthy. I went on a rant last night's live show explaining how the foundation that we built in this crypto space on the back of Tether, on the back of shady exchanges like Binance, other offshore exchanges that are allowing 500x leverage, other exchanges that are using their own exchange tokens to pump up other tokens, market makers, crypto cabals. I just saw the marketing team for Zcash is apparently trying to buy off influencers. I just saw Mark Moss post the email that he'd received from them, and they're trying to buy people to put out reels and content. And this space is, that part of this space is a joke. I hate that part of crypto. The pump and dump, the marketing schemes on behalf of VCs who are just looking to build up retail exit liquidity for themselves. Tether hasn't proven reserves ever, right? These crypto exchanges that are offshore allowing 500x leverage, all these different schemes. That's the part of crypto that we've been asking to go away. We've been saying, hey, if you regulators would actually show up and give us rules of the road, none of this would be going on. But instead of that, they sued Ripple, right? They attack the legitimate companies. And then when we finally do get regulations like the Genius Act, they give a 3-year buffer for Tether to come into compliance. Anyways, we're happy to get a level playing field, and that's all we've ever wanted because we know that we'll win on the merits. We know we have the fundamentals. The catalysts are all lined up in front of us. And even from a technical standpoint, let's go to the XRP US dollar chart before we check out at today's live show real quick or video here. And I'm going to show you the levels that we went down to this morning and what I'm watching here. So you have a 30% pullback for XRP from our $2.58 high before our ETFs went live. And then we pull back here this morning to 181, and that's just right below my 1786 fib extension. I'd pulled this fib level, and we've been watching this level or these levels for the past 2 weeks. And it was a nice little bounce right here at the 1786, which sits at 179. So we basically, people front ran $1.80, bought that thing back up. And as I record this update right now, we're at about $1.94. Okay, so is the bottom in? I'm not here to say yes or no. I'm just here to say that we're pretty close. There's way more money for the market makers to make at this point by pumping this market up and wiping out all the people that are short. So from that standpoint, we should be moving up here shortly. So we took advantage of this with our orders sitting. I bought the dip all the way from 231 down to 222, down to 208. And now here we are at $1.90. Probably going to add to my position again here shortly if we hang out at this level for another couple days, or if we make a little stab lower. The community is waiting to front run $1.50. So don't get too greedy here. I know some people are talking about selling off and trying to buy back. Be very careful. You can do that to harvest some tax losses, but just be careful and don't try to get too greedy and don't try to get too slick with it, okay? And so tomorrow we're going to update the Discord community at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We do that weekly call every single Saturday. If you're looking to get tapped in with us, I go through all my trades. I'm going to be reviewing a few other coins for tomorrow's call as well. So if you want my unfiltered and uncensored opinion on any projects, whether that be crypto tickers or any other investments or businesses you're considering, that's where we break that down on a weekly basis. So sign up through Patreon to get access to Discord. All of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. I greatly appreciate your support. And on the way out, if you could like this video, we would say thank you. All right, have a good one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.